All right, thank you for staying with us. Now, we found this tweet online. A Twitter user said, and I quote, "Not always, but sometimes check your partner's phone. You might find that you are loyal for nothing." What are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree? Don't you think it's a question of trust? The phrase, "what you don't know does not kill you," does that still matter in this case? Now, join the conversation and call us on 081-270-53687 or 091-3907-6948. Or you can tweet to us at TVC Connect using the hashtag #YourViewOnTVC. Interesting tweet there, but just to break it down, small. You're holding your partner's phone, or you may not even be holding it. It's just there in front of you, and you know a text coming, and you saw a message, and you're like, okay, or you read it, or you decided, let me just carry this phone today, Seth. What's even on this your phone? Let me just look at it. What have you been doing on this your phone? Do you get curious about what your partner is doing with their phone? Or you don't even bother because you trust the person and you're like, whatever you do with yourself, I trust you. I don't care what you do on your phone. If you hand me your phone, it's fine, it's safe with me, I don't care, I don't want to check. But you know, curiosity can just push you and to say, let's see what is on your phone. What's going on? Where do you stand on this? Do you check your partner's phone? Let me start with you too.
I don't know why you like putting me
on the spot.
It is very, very unfair.
Are you not here?
Okay, so do I check my partner's phone? I check my partner's phone. And
Why?
the reason is simple.
Okay.
So we have two boys that sometimes need my phone or
his phone.
His phone. And so maybe we want to play something on the device, just maybe for playing sake, right? I have to use his phone. But to be honest, there are times when, this phone is just here. What are you? Let me see what is happening inside this phone, Steph. So it's very likely I do check my husband's phone. He checks my phone, right? And to be honest, we didn't start this way.
Okay.
So it was something that developed over time, whereby, based on the fact that, you know, he had exhibited some form of trust. I could now say, okay, this is my password. We have the same password. It's even that bad now. We have the same passwords. So I do think that checking your spouse's phone or not depends on the individuals. And I think that like they say, Rome was not built in a day. You learn to have trust in that person over time, such that when you check or when you don't check, you don't see anything,
You're
right?
not bothered.
You're not bothered.
What you don't know does not kill you.
I mean, I don't know if what you don't know does not kill you. Because there are instances that sometimes, you know, when they say ignorance is, sometimes when you don't know, in fact, your slaughter table like this is there for you, right? So I do feel that depending on your partner, depending on the level of trust that you built over time with this person, I personally do not see a problem with checking your spouse's phone. You may have contrary opinions, so let's hear you. Clara.
Well, what are you looking for? I mean, it's his phone. What do you want to see? What you don't know, does it really not kill you as it stands? Because that's the question now. This person says they found out something and thinking they were loyal, not knowing that their partner wasn't loyal. What you see at the end of the day, how does that help the relationship? Does it build the relationship or does it break the relationship? How do you move forward from what you found? These are the questions.
That's even very important. You see, because sometimes when you find out something, you probably may not have even been thinking that you will see something like that. So by the time it hits you, when reality dawns on you, you do not even know how to navigate from that point. And sometimes might actually affect, you know, women or men mentally when they see, I mean, we've seen extreme cases of people that will say that, I didn't know that my husband had another family. I didn't know that my husband was building a house. I didn't know, you know. So when you now eventually find those things, so that's what I say to people.
Yes.
That's why sometimes think of worst case scenario. I mean, to be on the safer side, think of the worst case scenario. So when I check now, what is the worst thing that I can find? If you know your heart cannot take it, just leave the phone.
Why did your mind get to the place of
I
what
don't
is the
know.
worst that is my issue.
Yeah.
You say you handle or you take your husband's phone. I mean, but when you take the phone, you don't go around scrolling to the
Snooping.
text messages.
Why are you
To
avoiding the
read.
text message?
You just take it because, okay, your
You wanted to
boys
do
Boys
something,
need
yes.
something, and you
your
do what
boys-
you're doing
and you
and
do
leave
what
it.
you want to
Yeah.
do.
Right.
What if when you picked it up, then a message popped up, and it's like, okay, this is
this
strange.
one?
See, what happens? The
True.
natural default of a person is that when you're in a relationship, you just want to be certain that
This person.
you still hold a very special place in the other person's heart. But while you do that, I always say, there's no need to poke. Because it's only a person that wants to be kept that will be kept.
Please,
But that man-
let's quote
Quote,
you.
okay.
Let's quote you.
A person that wants to be kept, that will be kept. Clara, 2023.
Exactly. That's the thing. You can do all this snooping in this world and you will still be ignorant
Absolutely.
of the activities
It is. Yes.
or the things that the other person gets up to doing.
You're so right.
So snooping is not
So
enough.
snooping is not enough. It's not a guarantee for anything. You will just raise your blood pressure. I have some friends that will say, oh, I want to take the photo. I say, don't go and bust a vein over nothing. This man may not be doing anything. He may be doing something. If you bust a vein or an artery, he's going to move on to the his next conquest.
So right.
So, like you said, if you can't handle it, leave it. Just leave it. Just leave it. You can't keep anybody from straying the straight and the narrow. Just keep your own side of the bargain.
And I do think that what you're looking for is what you will find. So even if somebody, maybe a lady in his office, just sends a very harmless, oh, you didn't come to the office today. You see, because your mind is already going that way, looking for something that is not lost. You're already interpreting why I didn't see you in the office today to mean that, oh, this person checks on my husband every day.
What
This
is your relationship with this person?
Explain.
Of why
Yeah.
didn't you come? We didn't see you in the office today. Are you the only one that did not come to the office today? Now, this is how
Exactly.
you now begin to interpret
Interpret things that
what's
not-
But shouldn't we ask questions? No, of course.
We
are
should.
partners. We agreed to come together, and I see something. Shouldn't I ask a question?
You should.
Shouldn't I?
Yes, you have every right to ask the question.
Right. This is stemming from what you just
Yes,
said.
true.
Right. So why is that a challenge?
So most times I realize that, or maybe my opinion is that some people would not ask. They just keep it in their minds and then they brood on it. And by the time they eventually speak up,
The damage has been done.
they built so many thoughts in their minds already. So I say to people, when you see something that you're not sure of in your spouse, right, or on your spouse's phone, ask, what's the worst that can happen? You people fight and scatter ground, and you still build up, do you see? But when you do not keep it, when you do not speak up, it builds something else in your heart. And sometimes you may even just now begin to be wayward, or say, since my husband or my spouse is doing X, Y, Z, let me also. Whereas this guy is just very, 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 very innocent. Do you see? So it's important that in a relationship, when you see something, speak up and...
On both sides, because it seems we are focusing on the ladies alone now.
Sorry, women of God. Men.
No, because it's critical, this aspect of speaking when you find something. It leads me to an example. When we just got married, my husband and I, and so I was sitting, and then his phone was with me, and I saw a message. And then I began to ask a question because I knew the lady that sent the message, and I asked a question. Now, how you ask a question matters.
Yes.
Your approach to handling what you found is key. We are not saying do not ask questions. Ask questions. You have a right to ask questions because you are partners.
You're
you
so
agreed
right.
to come together. But how you approach it is the matter. If you are being aggressive about it, then you should get some level of defense from this person saying, this one that's my partner is being aggressive. I do not want to allow. Okay, this is how it is. The person can begin to tell lies and not give you the full picture of what this message that was sent or that you found or whatever it is you found is about. So wisdom is needed in how to manage that kind of situation. And that was what I did at the time. Okay, if this is it, it's fine. Manage the situation and you move on. If you are being suspicious of your partner, then you begin to look for how to find why you are being suspicious.
Suspicious, yes.
Ask yourself, why am I being
right.
suspicious? What were the signs you are seeing now, right? That perhaps you did not see the times that you guys were just on a stage where there was no commitment. What is different?
No.
Some will say that this person has a routine, and that routine has changed. That is why I'm being suspicious. Okay, have you asked the question as to why did your routine change? I know that you come or you do this at a particular time, but that has changed. What's going on? Having the right kind of conversation.
Yes, you're so right.
Is very important. All right, we need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation. Just stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we were talking about a tweet we found on Twitter. And let me just quickly quote that tweet so that you can be a part of the conversation. It says, not always, but sometimes check your partner's phone. You might be loyal for nothing. End quote. What are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree? Is this a matter of trust or a matter of what you don't know does not kill you? And while we're behind the scene, we're talking about this matter of trust, having a foundation, a relationship that is built on trust, but that people change. Circumstances change people, and people just become something else. They become a different person. That's why you hear people say, this was not the man I married, this is not the person I know, this and that and that. How do we handle change in a situation where, you know, we built this relationship on trust, but this person is beginning to hide things from us, from me, is hiding things from me? How do you handle trust?
Well, for whatever that is worth, it is good when you notice a thing, a trend. Maybe it first happens, you just say, okay, this may be the figment of my imagination. Let me not dwell too much on it. Then it begins to reoccur.
Right.
Then you need to have a conversation.
We have a caller on the line, Abubakar. He's calling from Gwagwalada, Abuja. Abubakar, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the show. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning.
Good morning.
GDC.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Today I consider myself lucky for getting connected to you.
Right.
You are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no need for a partner to be suspicious of one another. They should live freely. Yes, there's no need for you to be even checking on the phone of your spouse. You should live a free life. Let everyone live on his own independently. Once you are a spouse, everyone has his own conviction, belief, and background.
So, Abubakar, if you are still there, so you're telling me now that
We lost
that call. I would have want to know if he was holding his wife's phone, assuming he's married, and he suddenly saw a text that he put some question in his mind. Wouldn't he ask question? It's not necessarily checking her phone, but something came in and he needs to find out what's going on. Right, you were talking about handling change and trust.
Exactly. When something happens, you can say, oh, it's one-off thing. It does not really matter. Don't let me dwell on it. Maybe my mind is clouded. Just explain it away. Then when it begins to reoccur, then you now need to sit and check it and say, okay, look, I observed this trend. What seems to be the matter?
What if the person does not want to have a conversation with you and says, leave me alone?
I
do not want to talk about this.
Yeah, I know that could happen, but like you said, the first time before we went on break, you were talking about wisdom. This is your partner. You should be able to know his soft spots, where you can touch. That can make him talk. I always advise couple too. I said, look, every 6 months or sometime, just sit and check the relationship. Are we good? Are we good? We go on. Are we good? Because half of the time we just assume, oh, everything is okay. There's no need to check. And so many things are going wrong. Like we said, trust can change. Something can influence a change in anybody. So you need to check on the status of your relationship.
Interesting.
From time to time.
We have Ndidi calling from Ikorodu. Ndidi, good morning. Thank you for joining us. All right, Ndidi dropped the call because checking the relationship is good, but how transparent are you while you're checking that relationship? Are you ready to go through the crevices, to go through the whole hog of ensuring that you are both being open?
Yes.
To each other. Openness is key. If we are not being open and say, okay, are you good? I'm good. And we're feeling everything is good. But something is going on behind the scene.
Exactly.
So it's also, openness is important. I want to believe that aspect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can only do your bit. You cannot speak for somebody else.
Yes.
You cannot force any other person to be open in a relationship. So the relationship is not a walk in the park. You have to work it. It's a living organism.
Really?
Yes, you have to work it. As soon as you feel, oh, it doesn't matter, let everybody, we're settled in our state. So many things will be going wrong. You can only do your bit. Oh, okay, I'm transparent, I'm open in this relationship. I hope my partner will do the same. And we can trust enough. See, suspicion is big. It's a cankerworm. You need to address that. I know the natural default of a human being is that you just want to be suspicious of everybody's move. For instance, we teach we train in some organizations, and we always encourage as colleagues, don't call your manager in the office, my darling, my dear. Or when you are sending text messages, you are saying, my dear, my darling. If a partner gets hold of that, it's going to be suspicious.
Yes.
Just be official. Be very, very official in your conduct. I see some organizations that we go to, a man is holding a woman and say, my sister, my darling, my sweetheart. Don't use such words in the office space, and don't send it as text to people because you don't know who's going to get hold of that particular message. So it's very key. You can do your bit. Put your best foot forward in a relationship, expecting that your partner will do the same.
Where the expectation is, I know you, that you are not going to, this is you. Well, I just decided to give you a chance in the first place, so I am not surprised. I thought I could change you. How about that?
That's another key factor in relationships. So sometimes people go into the relationship thinking that they can change their spouse. So perhaps if I love this person enough, this person would change, right? But ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, men and brethren, you cannot change anybody until that individual is willing enough to say, yes, I've had enough of this kind of lifestyle. I want to really, really change for myself, to be a better person, to be a good example to my children.
Can you just hold the thought?
Instance.
We have Prince calling from Ikoyi. Prince, good morning. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Could you speak up a bit? We're struggling to hear you.
Okay, I say thank you for the chance to speak with you guys.
Right.
Yes, I actually following your program this morning, and I'm interested in the topic you guys are deliberating over this one. And my view concerning this issue is this. One, I'm not comfortable with the term partner that you guys are actually using when it comes to marriage. Because what I know in marriage is husband and wife.
Okay.
You know? And the issue of husband and wife is a matter of two adults. So it's two adults, yes. And it has a lot to do with morality.
Right.
You know, and responsibility. So if I am not responsible and you also are not responsible, I don't think we can make a good home. And also, it also has a lot to do with complexity. You know, when you feel less with someone you're living with, definitely you will have a lot of suspicion. But to me, I'm a married man, and the way I run my home is that I put everything open. You know, because before I be able to suspect you, there would be situations, instances where you are not cleared about for you to, you know, bring in suspicion. Like the issue of phone that you guys are discussing this morning. Like myself, I don't hide my phone. My phone is always there for the family, my kids, my wife, everybody has access to my phone. Because to me, I believe I am a responsible person. I'm a responsible person. I'm an adult. I am family oriented. And if my mind is in my relationship, I foundated this phone, then I can't do anything to destroy it.
Right.
That is the fact. So the issue of one talking into someone's phone and all of that, I don't think, to me, is childish. Because when you do that and you finally get what you were looking for, what next do you do?
Right.
You know, because actually we all know that whatever that is hidden will be revealed one day. So why not just relax and see things unfold? You know? So thank you very much.
Right, but Prince, you must understand that our audience is a mixed audience for us. We have those who are married and those who are unmarried, who are in relationships. So we have to speak in this way. And when we are talking about partnership, we are trying to make people understand that whether you are married, it's also a partnership. It's not a competition. Some people see their partners as competitors. So we must also make that clear for whoever is listening. Right? And you mentioned a lot of things that it shows you have values. You are rooted in values. That is why the position you have taken is what it is, which is also very key. If you are not rooted in values, basic values, then you cannot, you know, expect or act the way that Prince has acted in your marriage or relationship, which is very key when we are talking about relationship as it stands. You must be rooted in values to be able to say, this is who I am and I'm sticking with who I am. I'm going to be responsible. Some persons have chosen not to be responsible. And those who took chances on them to change them, like you were speaking earlier, and are still finding it difficult to change them. You had a thought you were speaking on.
Yes, so I was just primarily summarizing that you cannot change anybody until that individual says that I am ready to change, to live a better life. There's
They
almost
make up their
minds by themselves. Okay, sometimes the Holy Spirit influences, I'm a Christian, right? Influences that decision. And for people that are not Christians, you see that there gets to a point in a man's life when he would decide to do away with childish things. So things that I could easily get away with. When you think about the aspirations that you have, the things that you want to do with your life, really, and then you're saying that I'm keeping my phone. When there are many meetings for you to attend, you're still trying to be secretive about something. So I do think that it is very important for an individual to be the person saying that I would change. As regards values in a relationship, I do think that it is important for you setting out in a relationship, marriage, to understand the values that you have. You must say that these are the things that I consider important. Is family a priority for me? When you begin to align those things, trust, integrity, are they priority for me? Are they priority for you as the guy I want to get married to, as the lady I want to get married to?
We have Mandate calling from Ilorin. Mandate, go ahead with your contribution. Good morning.
Yeah. As for me...
Could you speak up, please?
All right. Thank you. Good morning. I really appreciate your program. And I said I really appreciate your program.
Thank you.
So the man that spoke last, I supported him. I think we are the same thing. So as for me, since I got married for 6 years, there was no day or a day has never gone that I and my wife did not use our phone. Either I use her phone or she use my phone.
Okay.
So me, I do not see as anything, any big deal. Once there is trust. So when I got married, after a year, so one man let me just say, a man, maybe a young guy, came to call my wife because I was still in the same street where I was living when I got married. So I've spent like 6 years before I got married. Then I married my wife and brought her to that place. They now called her and told her that they know your husband with some people, and he's dating so person, he's dating so person. But along the line, my wife told them that a man is not meant for a woman. So that statement alone crashed all the rumors or whatever. So after 6 months was when my wife came to me that this man, this is what he told me.
All right.
Yeah. He said you have dated so person, you have dated so person. I said, so what did you now say? I told him that a man is not meant for a woman alone. So you now hold it since for 6 months now till now. Said, because he believes I didn't do it.
Mandate, we have to go on this commercial break. Unfortunately, we have to break your line of thoughts, but you can still call back after the break. Stay with us. Now, before we went on the break, ma'am, we were talking about a tweet that we saw on Twitter. Let me just quickly read it to you so that you have full details of what
I'm
the
all
tweet is
ears.
about. Now, the tweet, and I quote, "Not always, but sometimes, check your partner's phone. You might be loyal for nothing," end quote. What are your thoughts? Do you disagree or agree? Is this a matter of trust, checking your partner's phone? Or is it a matter of what you do not know does not kill you? Does that still matter here?
Thank you. I do not believe that what you do not know does not kill you, because there are some basic things you need to know of one another. Since you went to that presence of God in marriage to say, I do. 1 + 1 is 1. Yes, I do trust my husband. He does trust me. But he has the freedom, that's actually the word, he has the freedom to pick my phone and check anytime. And I do the same. It's so ironical that most husbands, they want to check the phones of their wives, but they don't want their wives to
check their phone.
theirs. No, even God does not endorse that. God says 1 + 1 is 1. So if truly you are one in marriage, one heart, one soul, one focus, unity,
Now,
and
some would
love,
say perhaps
they should be.
you're saying this from the perspective of being a Christian, and who is rooted in the gospel and all of that. That's why you are saying all of these things, because our audience is a mixed audience, and so we cannot assume that
they're
for
all Christians.
Yes, for everyone. And then there's the aspect.
That's another perspective.
There's the aspect of some person saying, okay, because I am rooted in these values of trust, commitment, of being responsible, I will do that. There's also the aspect of, okay, I believe, I do not really trust this person, but I decided to give them a chance, believing that they would change. How do you situate all of this?
Well, the one that says, I believe in this person, and if he's not doing what he's supposed to do, he will change, but she's not checking the phone. That's based on trust. That is honorable. It's honorable because you just struck a point that we shouldn't assume all of us are Christians. Nigeria is multi-religious.
Yes.
And when you were talking, it occurred to me that, oh, yes, we have some of our Muslim brothers and sisters that one man is married to 3, 4 wives.
Absolutely. That's another one.
I said I saw that perspective.
Right.
So married to 3, 4 wives, would I, how would I put it now, encourage the 4 wives to be checking the phone of one man?
Some
people even believe that your phone is your phone. My phone is my phone. Don't touch it. They will even say it.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you don't trust me or I don't trust you, but your phone is your phone, my phone is my phone.
I'm respecting your individuality.
Please give me, I
Some
need
space.
boundaries.
My boundaries.
Set boundaries.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's put it in this perspective. For Christians, that one man, one wife, and they trust one another, there is nothing wrong in checking each other's phones. It shouldn't be an assignment, if you understand what I mean. It shouldn't be an assignment. It shouldn't be, oh, I must check it. He has to check mine. No. If they check each other's phones, fine. But from the perspective of my sister, there's what they call mutual respect. For mutual respect in polygamous setting, let's leave it the way it is. You don't need to check your husband's phone. The husband doesn't need to check
the wives, if the wives are plural. Mutual respect.
All right,
Let's
quickly.
continue trusting each other.
Quickly, Toby, the question.
I'd want to address you as grandma. I know that phones came in recently, maybe in the last 30 years, just to be magnanimous. So I want to believe that you were in a relationship before the advent of phones. So my question is, why is phone being the
big deal?
a
challenge.
big deal, yes. And relationships actually went on successfully, or maybe with issues without phones. So what
Trust were built.
Beg your pardon?
what was it?
Trust was built.
Exactly.
So what was it like then? And
Very good question. I remember that I met my husband on camp as youth coppers. So that question was actually meant for me. So we call ourselves Bobo Copper, Bobo Copper. And this was 1986. If we calculate that, that's almost over 30 years?
Yes.
Over 30 years, yeah.
Yes.
And we never had phones, but we communicated well.
Letter writing.
Letter writing, sending his friend to come and call
How
him
did you
from the
build
distance.
trust?
And we built trust.
Yeah, how did you build trust?
We built trust by understanding one another and knowing that this is the way he's going to react in a situation like this. This is the way I'm going to react in another situation like that. So by the time we give ourselves space and keen understanding, keen observance of one another, the trust built.
Is it because and in your years, courtship was longer, but now people meet 3 months,
And
30
they're
days.
Does the
and
time
say,
matter?
Well, time mattered at that time, because as I said, we needed to understudy one another.
All right.
You can't understudy one another in 2 months or 3 months.
On 15
NYSC
days.
for 15 days. NYC was 1 whole year.
Right.
So we had 1 year
Okay.
to know the plus and minuses and to make a decision.